where does imbalance come from? Well, if there is an imbalance in the way that signals come into your system, if there's more signals coming in on the right side of the body than the left side, then the left side, one side is going to get more used than the other, and then you will develop an imbalance. Just like a tennis player is going to have a bigger, stronger arm on the one he holds the racket. So the reverse holds true. If you don't use something, it's going to get weaker. So if you break your arm and put it in a cast, then that muscle is going to atrophy. And the pathway to the brain is going to get used less, and that area in the brain that receives that information is going to get weaker. Just like that arm, just like that muscle does. So let's say that you sprain an ankle and you limp around for a couple of weeks, and then it feels all better and you don't think about it. But during those 2 weeks, you change your gait. So now you're pushing off 1% less with that leg just because you developed that habit. Well, that's an imbalance. That means there's less pressure, there's less signals being sent on that side, so your brain develops an imbalance. So how many things do you think have happened in your life where you've had the risk or chance of setting up an imbalance? You probably had something every week of your life. All right? And we need to understand this is where imbalances come from. And the long-term effect of weakened brain function is called aging. And things like Alzheimer's and what's the other big one? Parkinson and so forth. They're just areas in your brain that get too weak to function anymore. And they just haven't been stimulated. So that's where the imbalance comes from. How do you rebuild the balance? Chiropractic, exercise, breathing exercises. You send an increased and different kind of signal to the brain. That's how you rebuild it. Third, rebuild strength and stability in the nervous system. That kind of goes with number 2, chiropractic and exercise. The problem with exercise, though, is that if you have an imbalance between left and right, and you go and work out, you're going to maintain that imbalance. You're going to increase both sides, but the imbalance is still there. That's the strength and the uniqueness about chiropractic, is when we find a leg length difference, when we find a weak muscle, when we find something that isn't working, and we make it work, we have helped restore that balance between left and right. All chiropractic techniques are built in some way around the difference between left and right. And when we can even something out, we have evened out the brain balance. Then you go and exercise and stretch and do yoga, and you amplify the effect and you activate those pathways. So the last one is reduce stress. Since we know that the stress is what interferes with the system in the first place, now that we have rebuilt the strength and the balance in the system, we need to reduce the stress. And how do you do that? Chiropractic, exercise, and we start slowly and gradually and surely to cultivate some inner peace. There's many different ways of doing that. Some people pray, some people go to church, some people go out in nature, some people pet their dogs. It all works, okay? But we need to do something consistently to increase our ability to feel good. All right, now we have restored health. What is required to maintain it? So, if you have a plant and it's wilting, what's the first thing that you're going to give it?
Water.
Amen. So you feed it, you give it some water, and it's still not looking happy. What's the next thing that you try? Take it out of the closet.
Take it out of the closet, yeah.
Give it some sunlight.
Oh, I put it by the window. I just did that to my plant.
Yeah.
It's got a little yellow.
And so you give it water and you give it sunlight and it's still not happy. What do you do?
Maybe repot it, change the soil.
Exactly. It has to have healthy soil. It needs nutrients and not too many toxins. So you can ask a 5-year-old what it takes to raise a plant. It's going to tell you you need soil, you need water, you need sunlight. And then let's turn the question around a little bit. And let's say that you try 1 million times to raise a healthy plant, but you only give it 2 out of those 3. You give it soil and water, but no sunlight. You give it soil and sunlight, but no water, and so forth. You try 1 million times, how many healthy plants are you going to end up with?
None.
0. That's what required means. If it is required, you have to have it. Okay? And if there are 3 requirements, you can never ever get away with 2. Okay? So now the good question that we're interested in is, what do humans need? What is required for humans? And we basically have nutritional, physical, and emotional requirements. We need good food, we need movement, and we need to feel good. So simply put, eat well, move well, think well. Now, these are requirements. So how many times are we going to be successful trying to achieve optimal health with 2 out of 3? Can't happen. Okay? So your system is designed for food. It is designed for movement. It is designed to feel good. You cannot achieve optimal health if you don't do all 3 of those. Movement is not optional. It isn't. Okay? So that is about all we're going to cover for today. So just to end up, I'll ask you to think about if you enjoyed, if you got something out of tonight, if you learned something that you think maybe someone else need to hear, then please put down some names of some people that you care about and feel free to invite them next time. Thank you.